In this video, I'm going to show you how to make photo-filled text. For this project, I chose this image of some organ pipe cactus. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get the text tool over here in my toolbox. It's the big T. And if I look down here at the bottom of the toolbox at the color chips, I can see that black is the top color chip, so that means that my text color is going to be black. It doesn't matter for this project what the text color is because eventually it's not going to show. And up here at this menu, I've already pre-chosen my font. It's called Urban Jungle. You should make sure to choose a font that's really thick so that the image can show through, and also make sure that it's very readable. Some fonts are so busy that you can't really read them very well. So I like Urban Jungle, and I'm going to use that for this project. So over here on the size option, I'm going to put it on the highest that it will go, and that's 72 points. So I'm going to click on my image, and I'm going to write organ pipe, and then enter to go down one line, cactus. And now that I have that done, you can see that the text is really small. So I'm going to highlight the text, and when I open this up, the highest that it will go is 72 on this menu. However, you can highlight this number and change it. I'm going to try, let's see, 500. So 500 looks pretty good for the top part, but I actually want cactus to be the same width as organ pipe. So what I'm going to do is click down here on the cactus line, and I'm going to highlight only cactus. And let's try maybe 700. No, not quite big enough. Let's try 900. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to click this check mark. You can see that my text is off the page a little bit and it's not centered on the image. So what I'm going to do is grab the move tool, the top arrow up here at the top, and I'm going to click and drag this so it's more centered on the image. But it still looks too small, so what I'm going to do is make sure that Show Transform Controls box is selected up here, and that gives me these little handles that are around the outside edges of the text. I'm going to click and drag on those handles. If this were an image, I would be concerned that it's distorting, but because it's text, it really doesn't matter. So I don't have to worry about holding down Shift to make it proportionate, like we would in some other circumstances. So I think that looks pretty nice right there. So I'm going to go ahead and click this check mark up here at the top so to make my changes permanent. Alright, so far so good. Now what I'm going to do is go over here to my Layers panel, and down at the bottom I'm going to click the FX button. And on FX, the first thing that I'm going to do is put a drop shadow right here, and that opens up this menu. So I can actually move these sliders around to change what the drop shadow looks like. And I can also just click right on the text itself to make it active, and drag it around and get it just where I want it. It's a little bit hard to see what I'm doing with this particular font. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. That looks good. And then I'm going to click Bevel and Emboss. Bevel and Emboss has lots of different options that you can play around with over here. However, you can see that this is still the drop shadow options. That's because drop shadow is still highlighted. To see the bevel and emboss options, I actually need to click the words bevel and emboss. Now I have those options. I'm going to leave it on inner bevel, smooth. I'm going to go ahead and change the size. So you can see what this is doing is it's making it look like it's kind of smooth and 3D by putting shadows on it and highlights. That looks pretty good. You can go ahead and experiment with all of these options until it looks the way you want it to. Now I'm going to click OK because I'm satisfied with how this turned out. So now the part where you put the image inside the text. So what I'm going to do is click on the background layer. I'm going to click it, hold it, and drag it down to this button here, which is the new layer button. And what that's going to do is copy it. So you can see now I have background copy. I'm going to take background copy and I'm going to drag it above the text. So temporarily I can't see my text. Now what I'm going to do is create a clipping mask. So I'm going to go to Layer, Create Clipping Mask. And when I do that, you can see over here in my Layers panel, now that the background copy is indented and it has this little arrow that's pointing down at Organ Pipe Cactus. So it's created something called a clipping mask. So that looks great. The last thing that I'm going to do is click on my background layer, and I'm going to click the new layer button to give myself a blank layer. I can tell that it's blank because it has this little checkerboard pattern. So I'm going to paint it black. So I'm going to take the paint bucket here, and this is the color chip is set for black, and I'm going to click this. So I want to make the words stand out just a little bit more. So now that I've painted this layer black, I'm going to go up here to opacity, and I'm going to bring the opacity down, maybe something like that. So it's fading out the picture of the cactus, and it's making the words stand out a little bit more. So it looks pretty good with black, but I'm also going to try it with white and see which one I like better. So I'm going to turn off the eyeball on this so I don't see it anymore. I'm going to click the new layer button again, and this time I'm going to come over here, click this little double-headed arrow, and that's going to switch the black and the white, so now white's on top. I'm going to take the paint bucket, paint it, go over here to the opacity with the white layer selected, and I'm going to back that off until I like the way it looks. Maybe something like that. Now in the end, I might decide to leave it just like this without the black or the white. Or I might prefer the black, or I might prefer the white. So it's up to you and what you think looks best for your particular image. So when you're finished, go ahead and save your changes, and then save a copy as a JPEG and put it on your website. That's it for now.